Hello. We've upgraded our setup a little bit. Mostly in the sense of making it more visible what we are looking at game-wise. Today we're going to be doing a handful of different things. I'm doing some stuff on my phone, and then we will go into it all proper-like. But today's theme is Oh Death, in the sense of, games that involve death in some regard. Primarily just because there are a lot of games that have death as a mechanic, but don't really focus on it in the sense of, like, how do I even word that now that I think about it? In the sense of, death being a actual, like, in-depth mechanic, rather than just like, oh yeah, you died, get fucked, I guess. So, in order, all of these will have a look upon death in some way. In this case, we are starting with Malagas, which, although technically is not a TTRPG, it is made by the Rat Bastard Man. But before we begin proper-like, allow me to begin with our usual hibbity-haws. Hello everyone, I am Ripley Grimm. I have DM'd for a large amount of different TTRPGs, including but not limited to Dungeons & Dragons 4th and 5th edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, Lancer, Kane, Monster of the Week. I feel like there was another Powered by the Apocalypse game that I DM'd for. I did do some Unknown Armies for a little while. Wasn't the best thing. But the goal of this is not so much to roast different games that exist. It is more so to figure out the best way to improve our own games and things therein. That being said, one of the other goals of this that I haven't been talking about as much is the secondary goal of making a minimal viable product for Monstra. I have some ideas from some of these other ones, namely the damage system from Honor and Intrigue, where it's not so much, you have this much HP, but more so, you have this many phases, and if you go past a certain phase, bad things will happen. Probably be that plus injuries, and injuries are harder to do, but at the same time, if you're in a fight and on the back foot, it's probably better just to get the fuck out of there. But, Magna Gothica Malagas is best described as necromancers beating the shit out of each other in an area where no one can die, permanently or temporarily. At the end of the world is a hole. In the hole is a city. The city is sliding into hell. Magna Gothica is a strategy army game of all of the different disgusting beings that live therein. Necromancy is a forbidden rite in most, if not all, of the lands outside of the Dead City. Practice seen as so foul, faithless, and inherently evil, most practitioners are hunted down. Granted by blood communion with a titled devil through Black Sacrament. Necromancers gain fell and twisted abilities granted by hell itself. At the end of the world, necromancers are viewed quite favorably. Fear of necromancers is needed for safe travel outside of the city where death still holds sway, and parts of the city are traversable or accessible with the aid of necromantic arts. Notes. Each side rolls, it is a d6 focused game. 2 to 4 sides. It is played as 2 sides, 1v1 or 2v2. They pick a unit to activate, take a turn with that unit, and then they pass the turn to the other side. It is, I think, described as popcorn initiative in most games, where one side goes, then another side activates and goes, and so on and so forth. And once everyone on both sides has gone, it is a round. movement, all the standard stuff. Talking about cover, line of sight, AoE, different effects therein, types of stuff. Pick a house. Necromancer, base stat card for the Necromancer, 1 trait, 1 act ability, 2 soul abilities. Like then one more choice for each. I pick Magical Girl House. That is a homebrew one. We will not be going over that. The Mad Science House. It's not Gargamox. I know which one you're talking about. The Bone Carapace Devil. Karkin Carrion. Skeletons fuse and grow over time must be trimmed and cultivated with forbidden bone tactic Bible techniques. That's a fucking name. Carcass is basically focused on being a ranged combatant in a game where there is primarily melee. Their entire thing is having a carcass odd name. No, carcass. But like military terms. Ranged combat, striking from afar. There have been edits that people have done where they made this one, I think, into a, like, cowboy-themed one, which was pretty dope. I'll talk about the one I really like when we get to it, which is also your house that you were talking about. But ranged combat, the ammo goblet, where you see it and structure it the millisecond you get the chance. Do not let the ammo goblin live. Does it explain, like, the difference between the varied units? Unit type. Tom Bloom just put a fucking thing in this. 12? Movement, defenses, abilities. Battlefield rules, the Necromancer. Some units have limits. Take a 2-for-1 as thralls. Ah, here we are. Thralls, basic unit, nevertheless be powerful, though individually weaker. 2 thralls per 1 unit. I have a cut on the bottom of my arm. I wonder how that happened. Necromancer, zombie, living person, soon to be dead person, Scrimblow. Scions count as 3 units. They are an elite unit that usually is a 2x2. Freaks, support unit, weak on its own, increase the power of your other units. Oh, that's the limit of how many you can have? Yeah, because Tyrant's the big one. Horrors, fast but fragile. Hunter, range unit with high damage that is weak up close. Tyrant is the big fucker. So I can make it a good RTS. It's not RTS, it's turn-based, but yeah, it is... because of this and all of the different homebrew that has been made for it, it is a very wide situation. It is very much gamey. This is the one time that I'm doing a game that is a tabletop game, not a tabletop role-playing game. This is a war game first and foremost, and hypothetically you could run like an adventure in it. Okay. So Scions are like the, or no, Thralls are the 2-for-1s. Scions are a specialist elite unit that benefits the faction by existing. We will also pull up Games for Freaks 4, because they have a new one in there entirely. And that one I haven't been able to look at as much, and I'm curious as to how it works. And refreshing myself on the rules will allow me to, like, better understand it as a whole. Oh, I should also mention another nail that we should put into Tom Bloom's coffin. So whenever Tom Bloom makes a game, in this case, it is just, is it just Malagast and Kane that get the updates in, Games for Freaks? I'm pretty sure it is. Icon? I don't think he does anything for Icon in Games for Freaks. I think Icon's dead. No update in a long time. Yeah, Icon's dead. Barrel Form is the ranged one, and they are snipers. I'm guessing I got burned on something. Transform into gun. It's pretty much done if you just want to play Final Fantasy Tactics. Aegis? Aegis? Cataclysm Devil Cannon. One thing I do like about Tom Bloom's games is that he'll have soundtracks for a lot of the different factions, and whenever he makes a new faction, you can see them. So this has like a baby metal song. It has Dora Hedora from Igor, No Way Out, Within Destruction, etc., etc. This is the Gore Grinders, which you can probably tell is inspired by Chainsaw Man. Towers of Torsos. Aegis is the front bist of a Curious. Interesting. What's their demon? Corpse Piler. Why is YouTube being weird? Whatever. If a unit is sent to 0, they gain 1 strength, remain at 0 HP. Take any further damage, they die. After a unit berserking it acts, it splashes 1 damage and discards a berserk token. Oh wait, it hits damage around it, right? That's what it's saying. Deals 1 damage back. I do like how they just kind of like a lot of small damage. Retaliation. Artifacts. I haven't seen a lot of people. Is it the Knife Devil? No, it's like a Forge Devil thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, that first one's the Knife Devil, or the Sword Devil, or the Katana Devil, or whatever the fuck it's called. I do think out of all of them, the Gore Grinders are one that is not given a lot of love. I think just because they're kind of annoying to play is my best guess. Skeleton Wheel, yeah, we love the Pain Wheels. Gargamox, which was one of the 2 that I was interested in. The other one, I want to say it's in Games for Freaks 3, but I don't remember. Because I think Games for Freaks 3 was... No, it's Games for Freaks 2, which I do have, but I don't have available. Which they had to nerf the art for. Gargamox, an area denial, and dots. Yeah, visibly rotting grunge punks. They are the Filth Devil. Interesting. I think one of their new thralls was just like a thing that when it dies, it turns to a little slime, which I think is cool. How nerf? They made it less sexy. Like, before she was basically wearing a sling bikini, and they made it so that she's actually wearing something related to clothes. Create a hazard, inflict plague. Plague is their fun mechanic, right? Pseudopod. No, not this one. Um, it was a new unit that they added. So might as well download this. On that one, it's in 2, but... Hmm. This one. It used to be a lot sluttier. How is that better? I don't know. Damn. Yeah, let me see if I can find the old art. I'm trying to find the old art. Oh no, they raised these. They raised the legs, I think. I don't know. Hard to tell. But they're focused on adaptive growing power. They have disgusting little fuckers. That's not their necromancer, that's their tyrant, I think. No, that's their necromancer. Where's their tyrant? They not get a tyrant. Whatever. Is that armor or body? I don't know. Yeah, but Gargamox is all about hordes. They can make little rats. Burb. Burb. Plague Lords are the name of their necromancer. This is another one I fucked with. This is Dead Souls. They are attritional skirmishers. They basically punish people for sitting next to walls. Not like hit and run in some extent, but more so just like using wall ghosts in a zombie game. Yeah. Like they can make walls and then adverse terrain and then like punish people for being nearby walls. Uh just like being a fucking problem, basically. And then this is, if God was real, he would not let you stand here. This is abhorrors that scale up as the game goes on. They can remove a ton of stuff. The Holy Body Tyrant is one of the few tyrants in the game that is not a unit that you are trying to beat the shit out of the enemy with. It just buffs the rest of your team. It's very funny. Upside down one, their talkie window should have just showed their feet. Probably. You just want to see feet rain. I know how it is. This is the one you were fucking with, Igori. And this is also the one that I saw a really cool homebrew version of it. They were basically cryptids where they like would rip the parts off and make like homemade chimeras. They're all about rapid. I'm having a stroke. Mutations, modifying themselves to become better. And if you have corpses nearby, you can eat them for bonuses. Yeah, that's all of them in the main book. Then we have The steeple racks. Someone call an ambulance. I'm having a stronk. You're about to have another one. Here you go. Well, it's supposed to be like, you can make your own necromancer, and it's just like a vibe. Wow. Helmuth is all about adaptive growing power. I also don't check what the last few did. Dead Souls made an agreement with Gormengor. They are not specifying what they are, but I'm imagining it is the Devil of Souls. About horrors. Tone is lost in text. Yeah, you would have a nosebleed. Let's not specify. Igori. Multicolored Devil. That's true. I think that there's a lot to be said about, like, what certain things are missing. Steeple Racks made an agreement with... Red Wet Hue. I don't know. Does not specify. Yeah, they are all about a swarm. Which is very interesting, because you would imagine that, like, Gargamox or, Helminth would be focused on swarm, but no, it's these fucking bird people. Necromancer's pristine while his future filthy say something. Yeah. Sirens are also dope. Prepare the pole, ayo. Hang for the owls. Carnophagus owl. Its talk sprite just being a fucking black void with a face in it's very good. Guzzle. I think obliterate just means that you destroy the corpse. Yeah, it's basically like to hide their, fucked up stuff. And then this adds the virtues to Kane. That's it, though. It's just art. Yeah, it's painted on the mask. They don't need to see. Helminth, does it say where... It's like everything but the devil. Evolved corpse worms. The Perfect Drug by 9 Inch Nails. Surprised they lost Plagas? Maybe. It's bound to the stone of Anzamezaron. Are aforementioned? Yeah. Yeah, this was the thing for Gargamox. And then they also have Vessels, which is a new Tyrant. Another Great Stork. About this, does it, the Devil of Devils, the Contract Devil. I like the ordinary shoe bill. It's a very good ordinary shoe bill. So, the Volvidani are focused on explosive timed offense, which basically means that they can repeat the ability again with the same action by spending a burst charge, which means they can make multiple attacks or choose different targets, blah, blah, blah. Which means that they basically have, like, a certain amount of uses of each of their things to, like, double the effects. But they also have these, like, laws that they have to follow, and they can't break their own laws. Our army of completely normal IRL birds, yeah. Tweet, tweet, motherfucker. Like, if you choose possession, none of your units can end their turn with a positive token. If an enemy does, they break that law. And you can pick a different law every turn. One second, I have to jump scare Frankie. But, okay, so... Okay, so if you repeat it, you burn a burst. So this is 1 damage and push 1. And you can do it again if you burn a burst. Okay. So trying to figure out what would be the thing that gives them stuff back. Deputized clerk. Where they have to have a ton of guilt. So you basically want to use... So possession is very scary against, like, Igori, because it can kind of blank them for a turn unless you want a fuck ton of guilt. But, like, how are you going to get a ton of guilt? Is Screwhead based on Screw-on Head? I can swap out what head's there. But maybe. I'm trying to figure out, like, how you would get a fuck ton of guilt on one guy. Court Summons gives them 1 guilt if they are not adjacent to it. At the end of their next turn. Could kill you. So there's Indict. Or Indict. Which I guess is, like, the thing that you do to get a fuck ton of guilt on a guy. I don't know, like, it feels unfinished as a concept, because all the other ones are, like, you can see how the mechanics do, and we're not going as in-depth. Here's some official Necromancer tokens for you, Rain. But I think, wait, is Helmet size 2? What was it, 3? Games for Freaks. No, it's 2. Is Nephilim size 2? Yeah, it is. Okay. So that's neat. That's why they don't have a Tyrant. But here are your Necromancer tokens for your Rain. Enjoy. And then the different variations for Kane. As a whole, I do want to try it out sometime. I just need to find out, like, who would be interested in playing it for an extended period of time, you know? Next in our pile of death, God Eater. And I will pull up the itch page for this. I do have this from one of my bundles. Because the world is ruined, it can be rebuilt. Because we can die, we can change. Because the past is dead, we may finally have a future. God Eater is a serious attempt to build a game, do everything D&D does, but is nevertheless resolutely not D&D in a fuddy hat. It is a game about problem solving and tough choices in a world littered with cavernous bodies of dead deities. Here's a question for the people in chat that are big into TTRPGs. Do you guys like OSR or not really? OSR is, old school rules, by the way. It was a renaissance of TTRPGs that basically was described as, like, trying to remake the wheel, disliking the, like, air quotes, simple version that 5e has, and a lot of stuff of that. Mm. I think I flow with Mark Space now. It's not as hard to find good OSR from shout out as fast as possible OSR. That is true. I think that anytime that there is a new game that basically says this is the new theme that we're going for, it's very hard to avoid doing that, you know? Hey nerd, hi Frankie. I have realized you don't have notifications, so if I don't post it in that server, you just don't show up. Ugh. It's okay, I love you. But God Eater. Hammer person? No, this is Frankie. She drew the fat tits here. I'm actually usually sleeping. That's also fair. Do you need to go to sleep, hun? Do you need a nap? But yeah, Frankie drew the fat tits on me. And the rest of me, I suppose. But most of you just pay attention to the fat tits. And my eye is up here. No, I just woke up. Good morning. How are you doing? 2d10 to be a certain difficulty value determined by the GM. GM tells you the target number. Oh, one of my many names. Monsters, enemies, environmental threats, and NPCs do not make rolls. Whenever they attack or oppose the party, players make a reactive roll to avoid or mitigate it. This is a very common thing in a lot of TTRPGs, and I'm not really sure why. I guess it's to, like, basically look at the players and go, if something bad happens, it's your fault. But I don't think that's how it typically works. It's usually like, you want to minimize failure in the sense of, why don't I just make it so that I can't fail this roll, you know? Like, Monster of the Week had a big problem of that. When I was doing Monster of the Week and DMing it for a long term, I had a, I can't remember all the names, but we had a mundane that basically made it so that they would get an insane amount of experience by going into a dangerous location then getting the fuck out. Just, like, learn what the fuck is there and how it works. I had a monster that basically was, or a monstrous that just never failed anything because they just spammed magic in different ways, and even with my limitations, it was like, alright, this is just kind of pointless. The Divine, I think is what it's called, had Smite, and also had a weapon that did a fuck ton of damage. Which that combo together is kind of annoying. And then the last one was conspiracy theorist person. I can't remember what their thing's called. But they just never use their stuff. But I don't know. I'm always conflicted when there's a game that says the DM never rolls anything. Like, I'm never sure if it's a good idea or a bad idea. I do think Monster will have to have rolls of some sort. for the DM, but yeah. Players end up working against each other. They roll simultaneously, winner being the highest result. Okay. Different numbers, different degrees of successes. Stamina, dexterity, presence. Even if the DM has more simplified rolls, they should have some, yes. Also, whenever AC shows up, I did send them the Kane PDF, and their one response was, why couldn't it be written out this plainly is beyond me. If a game can't tell me straight up how to run it or build characters for it, that's a big red flag for me. Which, like, is very telling of Kane's writing system. Actually, what I can do real quick is we can dig through this together. This is pages. So this is in Making an Exorcist, and it's right there. The only problem is Making an Exorcist is... Okay, so here is The Exorcist, which is not Making the Exorcist. Making the Exorcist is... Where is it? After conflict scenes. Where's conflict scenes? Here we are. So this is Making an Exorcist. This is where, like, explained. Skills are... Where's skills? So 22 pages. Tells you the skills and then tells you how to assign the skills. Am I list on how to create a character? Well, the thing is, it is here, but it's all the way down here after it explains all the other shit. And every single time that you do it, you have to go back and check shit. And it's like barely even a page. But yes, God Eater. 3 abilities. Expertise is a number between 0 and 2. So I'm guessing it's 0, 1, 2. You can choose to burn ability points from the relevant ability to increase their odds of success. They burn up to 4 points at a time, each one reducing the difficulty value by 1. Expertise provides a discount on the ability points spent. For each point of expertise, you effectively get 1 free point to spend on each roll. Dexterity expertise of 2, spending 1 point of dexterity grants a +3 bonus. Does this mean if I spend 0, I get 2 back? Is that how it works? For a few minutes between encounters, stores an ability point each stat, resting for longer periods, stores everything. Number of encounters is 1 adventure. Advantage, roll twice, take highest. Disadvantage, roll twice, take lowest. I will say, with all the shit that I give 5e, the simplicity of advantage and disadvantage is something that I believe should be studied in more games. If I tell you, oh, you're rolling advantage for this, if you've played, like, any amount of 5e, you would know what advantage is, and I don't have to, like, explain how it is. I could just go, it's 5e advantage, so do that. I don't like how you have to do it with 2d10, because that could be messy, but ability points apply to both rolls. Advantage is simple and effective. It is. It is the simplest and most effective thing in 5e. I believe no matter how much you dislike 5e or any Dungeons & Dragons type thing, you have to admit advantage is simple, effective, and quick to explain. There is nothing insane about it. It is a lot better than... Hell, I love Pathfinder. Hero points are more complex than advantage, especially with the other stuff therein that doesn't really come up that much because my players haven't had to do it. That being said, we are getting closer to our next game. Ooh, woo. Harm. Most common consequence of failing rolls is harm. Take a level of harm that you already have, increased by 1. If you have 2 harm, you take 2 harm again, 3 harm instead. If you've already taken 3 harm, crank it up to 4 harm. At 1 harm, you're bruised. 2 medical, 3 serious, 4 dead. So if I get hit with 1 harm a lot when I'm at... do I have to take 3 ticks of 1 harm at 3 harm to die? Is that how that works? Oh god, tags. Flaming weapon, set something on fire, provide light, blah blah blah. 1 in 20. Challenges difficulty rating. Player wants to beat that. That's the number to beat for it. Chameleonoid fungus, 7 sneaky. I've seen people say they hate character creation being at the beginning, but instead of the end. I think no matter what you do, I think probably the most effective way is have, like, a preface in the beginning that's like, hey, if you're interested in making a character, here's where you go to just start that. It has references to all the different points beforehand that you have to look at. And then here is, like, the different stuff therein, if you want to look at that beforehand. You take 1 harm, divide between any of the amount of harm given by the dingles, then die. Maybe. Guess we will see. Lesser Phoenix, Divine, Wild Magic, Ranged, Flaming, Resurrecting. The tag system is something that I always think is neat, but also flawed. There are also a lot of games where it's like, God, I'm sure that if I say this, Rain will be like, oh, it's this game. Where, like, you don't take damage, you are on fire, and fire gives you the injured tag. If the tags were more standardized, yes. Like, that's one of the other problems. Many games will be like, we're going to use the tag system. It's like, cool, what does that mean? It's like, I don't know, here's all the tags. And it's like, oh, that's 5,000 different tags. Pathfinder does it pretty nicely. It usually says, like, if something has this tag and a creature has an immunity to this type of effect, it is immune to that. The simplest thing is, like, if a creature is mindless, it is immune to mental tags, so you can't show an illusion to a zombie and it will get distracted. Tags are generic-y, and each has a specific effect that we can customize, so only Fate isn't horrible. Yeah. Like, I think it's called Fate or Luck. If you have one of those effects going on, you cannot use a hero point to reroll it, because the hero point is also a Fate or Luck effect. So that's, like, one of the things in Pathfinder that you're like, oh, that's cute. Almost every spell has either the, auditory, verbal, or somatic as additional things, where, like, if you are grappled, it is harder to do, like, most of that shit. Oh, wrong tube. Move freely, speak freely, have ingredients, yeah. Gadgets are single use. Arcana have charges. Good system of requirements, yeah. So, like, if you are grappled and you're trying to do a somatic spell, not counting if they get to punch you in the face, because, you know, reactive strike, you also have to pass a flat check to see if you actually get the spell off. If you roll a 5 or below, it fizzles. Gods were entwined with the world and their magic suffused it. That was then. This is now. What gods survived the war are wounded, dangerous, and unpredictable. Those that have died become deadly divine carcasses, sprawled across the world in 4D horrorscape. What is the fourth dimension? Time? You can choose what you do any of that or not, and get more oomph the more you choose to require. That's kind of like how Mage the Awakening works, because the more stuff that you have to put into it, the less chaos you produce, and the air quotes easier that it gets. Mage the Awakening is best described as the more you make it seem like magic, the more simple it is to do it. I could talk about Mage all day. One of my favorite things is guns don't work. But because enough people believe that they work, they work. I believe it's called consensus, which is like how most of the magic functions, where if something is part of consensus, everyone's like, yeah, that works. Like, I If I point at a guy and say, die, and he dies, you're like, that's fucking magic. If I do the same thing holding a metal stick pointing at him, and it's followed by a loud explosion, you're like, I just shot him. Like, that's the whole concept of consensus, for lack of a better term. The more magical it seems, the more effective it is. Imagination, 40k orcs would be proud. It's not imagination. It is the belief that it works. Which is orc technology, orc science, technically. So you are right, you just didn't use the right wording. Also, Frankie, if you ever want to play 40k, I'm happy to. Also, Frankie, I have a dumb question for you later. Remind me to ask you after stream. Rest of the world has been torn asunder by divine superweapons filled with monsters and horrors. Small towns and hamlets, heavily fortified, are pockets of safety in a world of weirdness. Without the weird, these bastions of safety have no resources, no meaning. They depend upon those reckless enough to seek out the strangeness and horror of the world outside to consume the remnants of gods and become more human. They depend on god-eaters. Let's play pretend with rules chosen by majority vote true. The answer is bagel. I don't think that it will be, because it's basically a yes or no question. The god is intelligent, self-aware plane, several thousand square miles in size. Shape and position of the god in four-dimensional space determines which exists from the plane end up. A dead god is the same thing, but doesn't have a controlling intelligence. God Eater is humans spend most of the time inside a god, living parasitically off its contents. You can just survive and hopefully transcend. Materium is space untouched by the warping influence of gods. Settlements are within the Materium. Human as sapient species of the Materium. They used to have different names, but now it is human as a blanket term. Once before, there were colossal civilizations, great kingdoms built by dead kings. But a king is nothing more than a dead old man. There's what the past, this is the future. We don't know what killed the gods. There may be more than one answer. World is covered in the weird. Wonders of horrors. Then I won't draw that. The world is covered in the weird. Wonders and horrors spawned either by the god war or by stranger visitations and meddling. Explorers traverse the mad wastelands far from home. Gated communities struggle to reinvent new industries. They're tired, weak, low on resources, but they haven't stopped. Hard to give up hope entirely, with knowing that the still beating hearts of elder gods lie out there. What is City of Sigil but giant bagel? True. Humanity has grown diverse, even as they have narrowly skirted extinction. Death is ever present. Fancy gear and godly ichor won't save you from spike pits, ravening monsters, and worse things. Your wits will count for far more than that. Fight, seek, bribe, and bargain your way. I may just be really hungry. You want me to DoorDash you something, hun? Oh, fuck me. Alright. New characters might be assigned a character card. City bets aren't the only underlying of Taurus. Could be cool. Courts of the She. One tag from fire-resistant, mentally protected, tireless, or undead. Once preventer warp the world into simulacrum of Edathok, covering 100 square meters. Okay, so Fae, religion, artificial human. Hardlight Halo is neat. Oh. Nature of the god. Kind of entities and masks associated with the god. Ifrit, the tyrant. Fire, passion, control, dominance. Hardlight Halo sounds like an awesome band name. True. Or like a group in Cyberpunk. Disproves of the weak will and afraid. Assus, the Maw, Male, the Patner, Trios, the Qualia. I don't like how this one's colored and the rest aren't. It's just random items. Oh, I love whenever a game has GM advice, but half the time feels worthless. Rolling dice is less necessary than you think. That's fair. A lot of DMs will have you roll everything. Hologram Halo at all times, yeah. Be upfront with your players. It's more fun when players figure out how to deal with the problem than figure out what the problem is. I do think more games have to basically like look at your players and say, tell them what will happen if they fail. Because there is a large amount of games where it's like, oh, if you failed, this could have happened, and you tell them after the fact, and it's like, yeah, we read the signposts. Like, yeah, I sure hope it doesn't. I also need to figure out a better way to use like stream labels or something, or like an equivalent, because I want to keep the newest follower, latest believer thing, but I want to use an app that isn't this because it is not functioning properly half the time. Give players tools, not buffs. Yes, I do think a large amount of games focus on giving them permanent benefits. Sometimes it's nice to just give them a gun. Road work ahead? Yeah, yeah, I sure hope it does. Yeah, like that's the basic idea. I would rather point at a player and go, if you fail this roll, you're not going to die, but you're going to fall down and be separated from the party. That's if you do the plan that you're currently thinking of. I won't stop you. This is the DC. But if you fail, that's what's going to happen. Like, simple, straight to the point. So this is for combat and can't be used outside of combat. There's also a lot of games where they have the opposite, where it's like, hypothetically, you could use this in combat, but you're either using it right before or right after combat. Like, there's healing vapors in Pathfinder 2e that basically, like, you plop one down, and it heals 1 HP over the 1 HP every round for a minute, so you heal 10 HP. But the big thing is that it's a small AoE. So you use it outside of combat while people are resting. Make every encounter matter. Consider what it has. There's so every fucking Pathfinder and D&D adventure has a random encounter table. You know what doesn't fucking matter 90% of the time? Those random fucking encounters. You don't know how many times I've been happy to throw random fucking wolves at my players? Never. Expect your players to engage with the world, but expect them to do it so in unusual ways. Yes. Core elements of your game is not friction or railroading, basic common sense. Very true. Oh, Rain, here's the thing. It takes 3 actions to activate, and in Pathfinder you have 3 actions a turn. So you're wasting your entire turn to just have someone heal 1 HP. And, like, if they get hit again, they get a second stack of dying. And that's a sticky stack. Pathfinder... the Pathfinder 2e rules are free on Archive of Nethys. Just look at the death rules, then you'll be like, oh, this solves a lot of problems that 5e has. Like, there's no popcorning in 2e. Use prep work to help you improvise. This is probably the most important thing that you can do for any fucking TTRPG, whether or not you think that you can do it. I have the book. Oh, fair enough. But yeah, like, the death mechanic in that. I also have to check... whatever. Ad hell. Why are there so many ads? That's your second time of having ad hell, and it's been an hour. How have you had 2 ad breaks? I can't even do a commercial break right now. You're just fucked. Yeah, no. I gotta just start doing it when you walk in, I guess. But yeah, you want to, like, set up a basic prep sheet, because the most common problem that players have from DMs is just like asking a DM, what's this fucker's name? DM's like, Jeff. You're like, oh, Jeff. And this guy, oh, that's Lord Great Plantier. He's the quest giver that you have. And it's like, one of these two things is a bit different than the other, don't you think? Make calls according to consistency and fun. More reckless shade is not fun. Of all, communicate with your players, yeah. Just fucking communicate with people. I know it's hard, but just do it. The biggest problem is like the lack of expectations. I will also say, above anything else, have a fucking session 0 for whatever game that you're gonna run. I'm gonna be doing that for Kane probably on Thursday. Also need to ask everyone if they're still good. Session zeros are very important. Exactly. What is this? It's got 3 minions ads in a row. Get fair. Perish. Because you're my minion. 0 is an important number. Yeah. A game that I had that sort of died in committee was, everyone, so the entire thing was like, this is a very dark setting. Everyone needs to be close to their chest. And then, like, the DM got mad at us for not, like, doing much with the other players. And it's like, all of us have accidentally made, like, not a loner, but a person who's very, like, closed off about their past. And we are trying to fix that. And the problem is that you're not giving us enough time, and every fight we're getting our asses beat, so we can't really do much there. But you want to set expectations to be the standard. You can write, like, fucking paragraph over paragraph over paragraph over paragraph of, like, this is how the game is going to go. But I found the easiest way is, here is Mermy, the trigger warning Myrmidon. He will tell you what triggers are in this. Please pay attention to him. Taylor said, don't open up, and got pissed at you for not opening up with no build-up. Yeah. One of the other things is that they had a, like, big thing signposted of, like, you don't want to fuck with this. She's basically dead. And then the guy got, like, a somewhat high roll, and we got out with no consequences. And then when I was like, oh, these monsters attacked her while she was sleeping, the DM was like, oh, they're actually homebrew sleep monsters, sorry. And I was like, huh? And then I got pissed because, you know, my character that is built on tracking fucking monsters was told, yeah, you can't track this fucking monster. Very fun. What are we doing, Tesa? Why are we sitting up here? Oh yeah, this is like one of the basic things I was using for a lot of stuff. I was also highly recommending it when people were trying to suggest doing TTRPGs in college because you never fucking know, man. But that's God Eater. I think this would fall in like the rules light situation of a lot of games. Like, I could see an argument for this not being rules light, but I think it's very vibes based. I let you make this character knowing I would shut down its focus. I mean, we'd had other chances, but still very much a situation of like, come the fuck on. Rogue Yard, a tabletop role-playing game by Will Lewis. That name sounds familiar. This is one of the ones that chat recommended to me to be added to the pile. Don't want your players tracking shit, tell them not to make trackers. It was also there was like a whole lot of other problems. We were 4 level 3s and we fought against a CR6 monster, and the DM was like signposting like, yeah, you can't do anything, while we were trying to figure out how to like do it or like engage with it. The DM gave us like 20 seconds of real world time to actually think of something as we were like thinking. And then first action it did, ate a fucking player. What? Fuck them. I've told this story to multiple different people, and it's kind of the exact same, but unfortunately the person has not learned because this is the 4th game that they've had something like this. Anyway, Rogue Yard. Tabletop role-playing game where expired rogues use their memories of life change reality as they recall how they have died. Ghosts of rogues recounting their tales and attempting to learn how their end came to pass. Real-time battle is not a thing in fucking Pathfinder. It was D&D 5e. And it was very much like nobody's really doing anything. Turn-based alternate timeline is creative thoughts. Full sample heist, full enemy and item blocks, variant modes for gameplay, and police players' capacity for game input, create tension in your own ghostly tales. Okay. Players will each take a mantle of characters, respond to these scenarios. This is just basic text. This is nothing. Well, it was basically like before combat started, Rain. Rogue Yard was done with classic fantasy aesthetic in mind, some added melancholy. Gamers, any house rules after reaching agreement from the players. What are the rules of the game? Come to the game session prepared with a base story to tell and the main path for the player's characters. Accountable for giving the players a... This is basic text for any TTRPG, my guy. Please. So there were rogues' personalities, relationships, backstories. Present-day spirit of rogues is trying to remember the ways in which they acted. Rogues' past self working through the trials of a heist. DM must have context situations of a heist prepared. Developing additional contingency plans, drop-in encounters help for the DM based off the be and path in the moment. Okay, so what would that be like? This was for a game jam, right? Summer Slow Jam. Indie Game Squad June 2020 Slow Jam. This was made during... Oh, this was made during COVID. Let me see if this is still up. 0.7. Version is this. 0.7. I'm just skimming the comments. There's one set of comments. There are countless drafts of this game. The promise of playing as dead thieves who remember their last crimes is beautiful. I want to keep hoping, 7 months ago. Even though that's true and valid, having an alpha is better than creators never having started or uploaded it. It is still here to spark joy and inspiration to others, and that's very valuable. I'm currently picking up my 7-year hiatus comic project so you can keep hoping. Sometimes the moment is right. Reading over what I wrote 4 years ago, this comic can come off a bit harsh. I'll express my love for a project. I don't know. I think if you go on shop, see if anyone tried to sell my iPad pen. Fair enough, honey. If you need anything, just text me. Ooh woo. Each player creates a character, choosing a name, CD history, a few character traits, a weapon, and any other details that add to it. All participants in the game act together for the first time. They are dead. Remember how they first met, motivations for the heist the DM has planned over to players. Accomplish their goal of telling the stories of their deaths. If they have not, their tales left untold. Takes place in the past when the rogues are alive and executing heists. Any time during the rogues' heist, unless determined otherwise, modified changing reality to their whims. Because role characters are recalling this heist from their knowledge of what happened in the past. So this is just an improv thing. Deals a hand to each player with a deck of playing cards and another hand for themselves. DM choose to leave it unchallenged, and the player must discard a card from their hand. The player then claims what happened. He wants to complicate the scenario. They challenge the player's memory. The player plays a card from their hand. If the DM can play a card with a higher value, the player modifies the scenario with their memory, but the DM can modify the situation, ideally creating an off-the-cuff backstory as why the player's rogue remembered things in that way. Okay, I mean... Oh, that... Okay, so it's deck of cards and dice. Highest roll of the turn of the two determines the outcome of the roll per the following chart. Playing cards instead of dice always... No, Rain, it's both. I know you're probably in the past, but... Sample campaign is incomplete but available in the next manual update. It has been 6 years. Very interesting and very weird, very... So, I understand that they're probably getting art from a ton of different people and using it with their permission. But, like, what the fuck am I looking at? You know? Like, I can read all of this text, but we have, like, Cal Arts comical, the dog demon of my sleep paralysis, a dying guy, a guy you'd see in a Sunday comic strip, a pig with armor, a blind kobold. I like the dog. I like the dog too, but it's not consistent with the other shit. Vampire bricks. Strange bewitched creatures of a truly loony imagination. Did they just get art and were like, we'll make creatures off of it? Except for rain if I needed to have something. That's fair. Dormant leech. Party goer. It feels like they just got a ton of art. That feels like clip art. Edit out the axe blade. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the drunken card here. Like, you can't say that it's incomplete and coming up, and then this is your final version. Give us something on the site that says, hey, Goofy from Kingdom Hearts on a bender. Yeah. Like, just say where you're at and if you're going to continue it, you know? It's not that hard. Like, I've got the, heat of wanting to do Monster again, so I can work on it. Goofy's cousin, Drunky, yeah. I could see it. This is Dead Friend, a game of necromancy. I think this is a duo game. A lot of this feels like free use assets. Yeah. One of them look like clip art. There are 2 players for Dead Friend. There is the living, a magician or witch, someone with newfound ability to conjure spirits, and the dead, the friend of the living, a ghost. A collaborative storytelling game for 2 players. Each plays the role of a friend, one living, one dead. You will ask and answer questions to develop the characters, community, history together, motivations leading up to their final conflict. Tarot deck, mundane playing cards separated into suits, 1 large coin called the circle coin, small coin, star coin, and then like a ton of other stuff to add to it. I believe this is in tabletop role-playing games for 2, which is a book I have both the PDF of and the physical of. It's a very good book. Some of the games are using this for a Malagas game. Could be fun. Could be fun. Ooh. Take turns reading the spellbook's instructions. New reader per page. Story alternates between present ritual of necromancy and flashbacks to past details of their lives. Sudden narrate events from the perspective of your character or an all-knowing narrator or conversations between the two parties. You and your partner may also use different storytelling styles from each other. Feel free to switch up styles as you go and allow the story to develop as a patchwork. Shoot your buddies because everyone else demanded an actual paycheck, Lamau. Your partner, when answering prompts, you are allowed, even encouraged, to invent new details about any character in the game, including your partner's character. Partners having trouble thinking of a response to a prompt, wait quietly and allow them to think. Resist the urge to offer suggestions. Accept the ritual's moment of silence. Very important. There are a lot of people, including myself, that just try to rush to the next story beat. I think that having a bit of silence is very important. If your partner answers prompt in the script, feel free to ask clarifying questions. Clarifying questions are very lovely. If you're familiar with tarot, you may choose to add additional story details based on the interpretation of the card's meanings. Morbid by nature, but designed to entertain both parties. Tell your partner at the beginning of the game if there's anything you'd like to avoid. If story detail comes up midway that ruins your enjoyment, you can rewind. Be kind to each other. Moving outside distractions such as social media or phone apps is strongly recommended. Explain the setting, choose a name for your characters, and write in the center of the pentagram. Choose one of the central conflicts below to guide the plot of your story. Each write your character's motivation from the central conflict in the designated space to the left and right of the pentagram. Magician and Tower for beginners. Conflicts are named after tarot cards, but you can pick whatever. The Magician. You wish to bring your friend back to life. And your friend wants you dead. The Tower. You wish to say goodbye to your dead friend. And the Corpse wants to return from the dead and wreak havoc. The Devil. You wish to gain otherworldly power from your dead friend. And your dead friend wants your soul. Justice. You wish to force your dead friend to take revenge on someone for you. The dead wish to remain at peace. Decide who plays what. Each player strikes a match. As soon as the matches are aflame, the ritual begins. Whoever match goes out first plays the corpse. Invoke Earth with the following 3 motions. Form an invoking pyramid pentagram of Earth. Place the index finger on the spirit point of the pentagram. Move towards Earth. Trace the entire pentagram with your finger. A lot of this is just like setting the tone. There's a lot of different things therein that different games try to do for this. I receive otherworldly power, you receive my soul. Yeah. This is something that they do a lot in 2-player games to basically set the mood. I think it is cute. I don't think it is necessary. I think it is very cute, and I think there is a lot of value in it for people that are not usually in the TTRPG space. It is also why whenever I play Meteor or play a new game, I usually add it with, or start it with the, We shall now begin with a guided meditation. Roleplay AIDS. Yeah. I thought you meant AIDS as in the, sickness, and I was like, huh? And then my brain actually processed it. Draw 2 random cards and look at them, taking turns. Name briefly describe 2 people in your shared community using the prompts in the Earth legend. I don't like this game. But have you considered putting a leaf in a bowl of water and saying magical phrases? Fucking South Park subway jokes happening in real life is wild. Hey man, it's not the weirdest thing. But like all of these are very good ways to like describe someone. Hardworking but depressed, successful and generous. Actually, it's not even hardworking but depressed. It's hardworking and depressed. Just replacing the word and but is very, very fun. Principled and determined, respected, emulated, wise and nurturing, mystical and intimidating. I think like the most evocative one is hardworking and depressed. Enthusiastic and confused is fine. Powerful and greedy, suffering ignored, beautiful and aloof. This is also like a decent way to like start making your own character. Just like have two words, try to connect them. For water legend or earth ritual. Invoke water, shuffle the hearts cup, draw one card, look at it, describe a past scene. He's just like your friend doing something in regards to you. Like I think that one of the things I do with my characters is smiling through pain. Like that's very evocative. Koa's was trapped by the past and the fear of what will happen in the future. An intimidating aura surrounded by anxiety. And then at the end of it, it was a woman that refuses to back down. Spine at the ready, along with a knife at your throat. Why is this object so important to you? Turn over star coin. What are we doing? Draw two cards randomly, look at them, answering the following questions. How do you die in old age or youth? Natural, unnatural, violently, or at peace? Final living moments. Dying due to a material need. A material need. Ooh, a journey, a wedding, community argument, celebrity or popular person, stranger, oppressive force, survivor, sickness, a careless mistake, a collision, a well-meaning error, an order, a noble decision. A noble decision and a material need is very, very evocative and scary of a combination. Summoning the dead. Who's messaging me? Is registered losers. So this one, very much, even without, like, the whole rituals, like, you can get really evocative, like, 1, 2, 3, there's 7 on each. I have D6s. Do I have D8s in this pile? I have a dice bag. I'm also very sad for the cats have not touched their, tower yet, but I also think that's because it's fucking hot. I do not have D8s. I have D12s. I have a weird amount of D12s in here. Nope, there's a D8. 8 is a reroll. We'll do that. I'll try to make a, thing for it. Blech. 5. Someone suffering and ignored. And principled and determined. Points a desk fan at the top half of the tower. I do have a fan kind of pointing at it. Let's see what would be a fun death. 3. A wedding. I know that it's not actually 3, but it's the third one there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A wedding and a noble decision is how they died. Ooh. A wedding and a noble decision. My first thought is like... So, you know, like, Romeo and Juliet, and they can't get married because of, like, the beliefs of the family. Just imagine if, like, one of the parents went, I will solve the problem. And just like goes over to the other side, talks to them and says, if you kill me and my child marries into your family, the suffering of both of our families will be over. Like, that's fucking good. There's more, fuck. If you're using mundane cards, include a joker, otherwise don't. Where the fuck did it go? I just threw it in the pile. They said no. They said please. There we go. To die. Look at it. You've never seen this before. It's a D8. You don't give a shit, okay. 6. Draw 4 cards each. You will only use 3 of them. These correspond to the weapons. Key or trickery. Shield or what your friend does not know. A vial of blood or loyalty. And then an enchanted sword or higher authority. All of those are good. Very good at setting the mood. It's definitely one of those games that you have to do. They also made Visigoths versus Molgoths, which is fine. Honey and Hot Wax, an anthology of erotic art games. Grandma's drinking song. Huh? Alright. But this is the main event for today. And whenever we're not going over like a full game like this, we are going to try to end these on solo journaling games. And I will also always try to add these to the monster setting as a whole. In this case, you were made to be unmade. Given purposefully shortened life by a creator who has abandoned you, leaving you with nothing but questions. Now you follow the trail of what your creator left behind, trying to find answers as you feel your body crumble with every passing moment. Know how much longer you have to live, but what will you discover before you die? I need a 6-sided die. And instead of having to write all this down, chat, you are going to basically be one of the ways that we remember this story. This will also be posted to YouTube. So, you know. Where did Taser go? Here you are. Hi. Themes of impending death, parallel experiences of terminal or chronic illness, player character death acting as an integral and inevitable part of the game. So, you, the creation, are an artificially created being in your final moments of life. What do you call yourself? What did your creator make you of? What is the first memory you had when you awakened? And I also need to get background music up. Do. That's fine. What emotion sits forefront of your heart as you seek out these answers? I think the beast that we find ourselves possessing and learning of is before all of the events of Monstra took place. This is a person who died. They know they died. They know what happened. They died. They know all of this, but they want to know why they still have a pulse. Right? Why they are still here. They were described as a monster, as no more of a person. They did not like that title. Talos was the name they were given. Crafted of metal from eons ago, that is rusting, snapping off. This is not what you were before. This is not what I am now. I am breaking. And I know I'm breaking. The first memory I had was a sword being gouged into this metal. Gold, bronze, maybe steel. It depended. But the face on that person is the same as when the bullets began to fly into the metal. They are not good memories. But I have lived for much too long. What emotion sits at the forefront of your heart as you seek out answers? Fear? A hope to be better? It is complex. It is a muddled mess of browns and grays, of so on. What name did your creator make you call them? A god. Variations therein, master, mistress, whatever piqued their fancy at the time. They created life, so they were a god. Nothing more, nothing less. What do you do at your creator's command? Kill, protect, exist, break those. You could call it protecting. It was hard. But I lasted far beyond most of these people. Rumors and other beliefs began to surface of what I was. Similar recipes from different aspects of the world. What treatment did your creator give you throughout your life? Does it matter? It does.
I do, sir.
I was treated as a tool, I suppose. Not as a person. I was no longer a person. Suddenly Kipti,
Yeah, Tasha's loud.
I was not given the same respect, I suppose, you would give to a soldier. I wasn't a soldier, I was a tool. I followed instructions. I did as I was told. I am not happy for what I did, but I did as I was requested. Could call me a slave, I suppose. I don't think that's fitting. They at least had a life before. And I'm not allowed to know what happened before. What is the last memory you have of your creator before they abandoned you? Suffer not the Fae. Still do not know what it means. They said that before leaving. I don't know where they went. I don't know when they went. But I am here now. That is what matters. I need a fucking set of cards too? God damn it! Oh yeah, so, set of cards without jokers. Alright. One moment. Deck of cards. Perfect. Out jokers, please. There is not a fucking generator. I'm gonna cry. Alright, whatever. I have a placeholder. Top of every turn, draw a card to reveal an item you find in your search. The suit tells you the location where you discovered the object, and the number informs you as to what you found. You may discard and redraw a card if you do not wish to explore the prompt. Roll 6, mark down a tally either on a piece of paper or if you're using a body safe pen or marker on your body over your heart. You roll 6, the story is over. And hopefully this will reach the conclusion that I am hoping for. But we shall see. So, I have a die. I have shuffled the deck again. Okay. The 6 of Diamonds. A lecture hall with a weapon I once used. What memory reveals itself to you in finding this? The object reveal about your creator. What is the object? What about the object captivates you? The object make you feel? Why was it left behind like you? How does this affect your search for the creator? We're going to try to answer 2 questions. Why was it left behind like you? It broke. I do not break. The tools I use break. Every time a tool breaks, it must be removed. It is a sword. Copper, or bronze, a mixture therein. I was never skilled at identifying the materials that these weapons were made from. It does not matter. And why is it in a lecture hall? It is a relic. Greco-Roman era. Where I was born. Reborn? Hard to say. Don't have memories of what I was before this. And I don't know where I will be taken next. The Queen of Hearts. A memento with sentimental meaning to you. In a home. Have you ever seen a cooking pot? Used for countless years, decades even. Using a different die. Or something that... Fucking 3 again. Fucking 3 again. There we go. That's not a 3. Cooking pot used over years, eons, centuries. I hear the sound of birds. Am I born here? In the original sense. Will I continue being here? Will I even find them? Do I deserve to find them? No. The Jack of Diamonds. Another lecture hall. A message written from one lover to another. The language is dead. It is not legible at this point. I never learned to read in the first place. Even now, I struggle with it. But it is concerning. Hi, Tesa. That I still remember someone's face that isn't the creator's. Not me, I know that. Who were they? Are they still remembered? What remains of something like that? Or of spades? A graveyard. Monument faded and worn. It is broken. Not by age as much, but by pillagers, by those that still exist to this day. I cannot roll a 6 to save my fucking life. There we go. There's one. It is a sign of what I will become. It is a tombstone, or what remains of one. I think I'm getting closer. But as metal sloughs off onto it, filling in the cracks of what remained of it, I wonder if the body will keep going before I can get there. 7 of clubs. Laboratory or workshop and a weapon that was once used against you. It is concerning how fragile this body once was. It is a club. One could gracefully call it that. A weapon that was used against me, now being researched as though it is important. It wasn't. The man who tried to break me with it flew before he passed. 50 yards. The paleness of all the faces of those that saw was only as impressive as how quickly they ran. As a mark. Small, almost unnoticeable. Belongs to the creator. Were they researching it? Where am I? Where will I be tomorrow? Another lecture hall. This is strange to see. The concept of robotics is not lost on me. I understand the purposes therein and why people are interested in them. And I also understand why there is a desire to make more like me. But this arm does very little. Can screw something on, nail something in, but not much beyond that. My arm has fallen off. Perhaps this will give them something useful from this point on. It concerns me of how often these stories are told, of how often heroes die, almost as though their entire existence only matters after it ends. The concept of a saint is the same. But even without the ankle being protected, he was impressive. I think he was real. Perhaps the mind still playing tricks on me. I'm not sure. I've traveled far. I'm surprised they still use this. Maybe they don't. The glass protecting it is thicker than it needs to be. Almost as though they are afraid that if air touches it, it will shatter into a million pieces. Should I be concerned? Not really. was a brutal tool used for cutting meat. Cutting a soldier was about the same. Humans are meat at the end of the day. Was I once just meat? And then whatever remained of my soul bound to this metal? I think I will ask the Creator when I find them. There is no reason to wait here. That's the same roll 3 times in a row. Alright, that's Snake Eyes. We'll stick with that. The concept of... what do you call it? War trophies never made sense to me. Dagger I used at that point was little more than a 2. Dice are getting old, need new batteries, exactly. Maybe I should focus on something more impressive. The same mark as before. I don't know how this helps me find them. But with the amount of houses I've found throughout here, maybe I should count myself as a blessed being. The only thing more concerning is the reuse of old items. The concept of a brazen bull is simple. You put someone in there that you don't want to deal with anymore, and the flames make it scream like a cow in heat. Did it have the same purpose as I did? My master's mark is on it. But that was its old purpose. It is another cooking pot. Why are all of these things used for death, used for the ruining of people, turned into something that can... No. There is a reason for it. I am sure that the Creator knows. At this point, I just need to find them before this shatters. You're getting a lot of the same fucking cards. The concept of stone. I'm rolling 4 dice, and if I get a6 on any of them, I'm adding a tally mark, by the way. I'm adding an additional die every time that we get a card that we've already done. To etch something into stone means that will outlast you. To etch something into the stone in a space that isn't obvious means that you are afraid for the answer to be wrong. It is a crude marking, similar to what people would do nowadays with an umbrella and a chalkboard. It's pointless. No, Rain, it's like... So this is all the stuff. I am removing the cards. It is just like... We've gotten Jack of Diamonds and Jack of Spades. We have gotten 6 3 times. Yeah, like, I am removing the cards. It's 5 of them. Also gonna expedite this teensy bit. Lover's Graveyard. The initials. Let's hit that four of a kind hand. I got a royal straight flush, and I'm not playing poker. Fuck me. The initials. Are those the creators? My finger joints slough off as I touch it. Time is running out. I don't know where I will take myself next. I've traveled far and wide. Do-do-do. Robotics are flawed. I am flawed. As I take a step into this new workshop, you can call it that, there are two things that catch my eye. My master's mark, and a robotic dog, if you can call it that. Under maintenance. What purpose does it serve? Is it a one and done? Does it bring a bomb out to end itself and others? Is this all it will be remembered for? Is there even a point in remembering something like this? Is there a point in remembering me? Is there a point to this adventure? Is there a point to this search? I am rusting. I feel like a fish being descaled. Am I not allowed to be angry? Does the body break as I get angry? That Y was not given a true name. Talos, the first machine. Now what am I? Uh, this land is war-torn. Countless wars in this land, countless bodies hidden by the sands of time and the literal sands that exist here. All fours. 4 dice, all fours. I'm off myself. It is a child's diary. Burnt at the edges. A reminder of what could have been, a reminder of who could have been. Is this all the weapons are for? Like myself, making people cry? What remains of them? There's no need to break down a door. Holes in the walls were enough for even a being as big as me to walk through. Am I a weapon? Is that all I'm good for? Even if I find the creator before I break and shatter into a million thousand pieces, will I know peace? Do I deserve peace? Is this an actual new card? Have you ever seen a mass grave? Have you ever seen countless bodies that were once people, once had lives? Or a memorial therein? I do not know these soldiers. I'm happy I do not know these soldiers. There will not be a monument like this for myself. But even as my body breaks, maybe with losing my own self, the sound of cracking metal feels wrong. Self-harm, it's not something that they prevented me from doing, but I never found a reason to. Metal plate, Raider's title upon it, placed next to what remains of these soldiers. I know no one will remember my name, and that is okay. Another home, blasted open. I think I'm getting closer. It is painting, in surprisingly good care. It is of my master, my creator, the god that brought me into this world. A young man, barely 10, 15. The concept of aging is pointless to me, or to a being like myself. Is that what I was? Would I even recognize it if it was? I light touch. I am breaking. I will not last. See someone in the distance. Silhouette. Dark. A blade at their side. Thought the Grim Reaper was supposed to be in all black, not with a red hat atop their head. They shout something in a language I don't recognize. I can't move. Not in the sense of I am afraid, but in the sense that if I move, I will break. They approach. The knife goes through the metal plating that I am made of. Like a flame through butter. Phase out. A memory deep within my unconscious peeks out. A young man looking at his creator. Creator saying that even if he is to die, he will be remembered as a hero. Isn't that right, Talos? My body still moves. What remains of it? The crunch of bone underneath my new legs. Feel as though the walking cycle that I exist with, like that of a centipede. Rushing, breaking, moving. There is a heat inside of me. People scream. Not in the sense of pain, like with a brazen bull, but in the sense of orders. Close what remains of my eyes. They open up again. A new person I am not familiar with. Described by the man with the red hat. Talos. Weapon of war. The hero's chariot. The young man looks at me. I don't think he recognizes what I am. or what I was, or what I could be. On his forehead, right above one of his eyes, a scar, much like my creator's mark. It is not him. I know it is not him. He is off. He is varied. He is different. He is other. But he does not look through me. He looks at me as though we made eye contact. Says something in a language long since dead, but I still understand. With this, I release you. What remains of my body shatters, like a weight being lifted and the body going into shock. You mean that is not how this world is? What do you mean that I have been in pain for so long? My body still moves, but it is no longer my body. It is a shell, like the molting of a cicada. And I go back now. Of course. I don't mean to keep you. I apologize for this. You don't. You're right. I do not. It was something I needed to do. I do feel bad about asking you for this, but as the most important man in the world, it's only fair that I keep tabs on things like this. Will you remember me? Yes, I promise. Goodbye, Talos. Oh, he went away before he could say bye back. How sad. Very well. But yeah, as my body crumbles. It's cute. I do think that there could be, I guess you could like end it willingly, but I do think that there are a lot of games that are solo journaling that are like assuming that you will end it when you want. But I think it is better if it is a game that has a forced end state. And that one, I would probably do it as like 4 or 5, but I guess it's more so up to Fueva. Alright, Yuna is online. Do we have anyone else online that we want to raid into? We have 5, Yuna has 12. But I prefer to not raid into her. Not in the sense of I dislike her, but more so in the sense of baby streamers. Pat, 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 pat. Let me check my channels. Science is art? Sure. Does anyone else have recommendations on who we should raid into? Science is art has 2. Will probably be the winner. Close out of this. Alright, we will raid into Science is Art. Is that not their name? Science is an art. But as always, thank you all for watching. I hope you all had a wonderful day today, and if not, I hope tomorrow treats you a whole lot better. As always, I am Ripley Grimm, your favorite patchwork mistress. We'll probably do a stream on Sunday? Monday, maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Depends. But as always, hopefully you guys like the little twist that I did at the end here today. If it was interesting enough, I will do more of it. If not, that'll probably be a one-time thing. I did want to do death as a thing. I will do a better one for other people, or for next week. Uh, or not for next week, week after. That will give people more time to, like, decide on it. If there are any themes that y'all would like me to do, just drop an idea into the TTRPGs to look at channel. We will probably do heroes as a theme, because I think a lot of these are hero-related. I am going to clean up some stuff. Scion was the game we went over before, right, Rain? Pretty sure that is. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to clean up the chat, so that we only have new shit in here. Apologies, Rain, I am deleting all of your big things. But if we don't need them, I do not want to keep them. Shall we? It is not because you have done a bad or anything, it is just cleaning up the chat.